I'm making this video now to hopefully put an end to the Service 101 route amendment controversy. Disclaimer, I do not stay here, but I'm able to observe patterns. When you don't stay in an area and you try to talk about bus amendments or proposals within that area, if you manage to get it right or your sentiments manage to resonate with the residents, then you will be respected for it, for your so-called expertise. But if you get it wrong, uh, people would basically just tell you to go touch grass, you're out of touch, stuff like that. But the way you get better at analyzing routes in general is, you could trace it out on a map and try to think of what purpose it's meant to serve. And the more you do that, the more you get better at it. Just a simple diagram. This is Crescent and this is Link. Both of them are two completely different catchments. And thankfully, there are no bus stops here, because if there are bus stops here, 114 would have to do the red white plate thingy. But if you happen to be curious as to why they chose clockwise or anti-clockwise for which bound, I'm just gonna give a very generic example, like I'm gonna linearize it. So there are 3 bus stops along this side, and there are 4 bus stops along this side of the road. When you have AM peak and a PM peak, they don't necessarily have to be, AM, PM peak exclusive services, but this could even be applied for full day services as well. So if I ask you which direction should be AM and which direction should be for PM, the simplest way to think about this is that during AM peak, people like white collar workers, they are all rushing to their offices, and much earlier, usually, blue collar workers would be rushing to their factories, industrial buildings, or like, you get the point. Everybody is trying to rush for work. So ideally, you want it to call along the side with less bus stops so that it doesn't waste time. And also, I forgot to mention that in such cases, the number of bus stops have to be relatively close to one another. It's not like one side has no bus stops and then the other side has, like, I don't know, 12 bus stops. No. The number of bus stops on both sides, they have to be like around the same. Maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower for one side. I mean, for this to even work. During PM peak, unless you have like a curfew, maybe a self-imposed curfew or what, people aren't exactly in a rush to like reach their homes on time, right? You gotta get to work on time, but you don't necessarily have to reach home on time. It can vary. So with this, for PM peak, you could actually afford to serve more bus stops and bring these people coming home from work or school or whatever they're doing closer to their doorsteps, meaning you could serve more bus stops. Keep in mind that not every single service has to follow this rule. There are some services, there are exceptions, but this is just a very generalized way of thinking about it. The number of bus stops along each side of the road, they're actually equal in this case. So why did I even use that example in the first place? It's all because of doorstep. So I want you all to take a closer look at this. Along this side of the road, there's nothing. It's just grass patch. And over here, there is grass patch as well. And if I transfer that to the diagram, this is grass patch. And this is all residential. This is residential, and this is residential as well. To put it simply, for the clockwise loop, like this, you're touching more grass and less residential in this case. But for the anti-clockwise bound, you're touching mostly residential. And when I mean mostly residential, I'm referring to this part. But why is that important? The reasoning is actually very simple. There is a rain shelter here, but there is no rain shelter on the opposite side. And I don't even think this bus stop has a rain shelter either. But generally, you could think of it as the anti-clockwise loop. In this context, it's more sheltered. You're more like shielded from the weather in this case. And not only are you more shielded from the weather, it's also more doorstep in this case, like for the anti-clockwise. You're serving all the residents inside this area, like Buangkok Square and Buangkok Court as well, so that when they get home from work, they no longer have to like cross the road, cross the road, cross the road, cross the road, cross the road. So it's to help them. So this alone is the reason why anti-clockwise loop, which serves Buangkok Square and Buangkok Court more efficiently as opposed to having to like cross the road from the opposite side of the road. I mean, this is why they chose PM peak for this. If you would have given this to any other bus enthusiast, they would have taken half an hour just to explain this one simple concept. So moving on. Not too long ago, I did a small little survey. I walked from this bus stop to this bus stop. It took around 3 minutes. And this is clear weather, by the way, not even rainy weather. Clear weather, it takes around 3 minutes. I didn't jump cut the video or anything. From one side to the other, it literally takes 3 minutes. And this is the video. Just me walking briskly. Wait, is briskly even a word? I thought it's just like brisk walking. Maybe I'm just making up stuff. So for my next diagram, I mean I know that Buangkok Link and Crescent, they are like this. But since there are no bus stops over here, and for this pair of bus stops, let's just imagine they are here. And I'm gonna exaggerate the distance between here and here, like between Crescent and Link. So effectively, it is something like this. Like in essence, instead of this, it's basically this. Just reimagined. So you have a bus service that historically looped at Hougang Avenue 4, 8, 6, and 10 in a clockwise fashion. Then it got extended to loop at Street 51, Buangkok Green, Hougang Avenue 4, and then they extended it to loop at Buangkok Link, whilst not touching the original route at all. Extend like this. They kept this part. And eventually, the present day version of 101, in which the residents, they fought back against the proposal to extend to Buangkok. So now 101, the current route is now permanent. It's like this. In an anti-clockwise loop fashion. This is familiar, right? Ever since 101 got extended to this area, it has always covered Buangkok Square and Buangkok Court, the HDBs. It has always served this area that I highlighted. When you try to make 101 bidirectional, regardless of whether you're sending it to like Sengkang West Depot or if you're sending it to like Buangkok Interchange, it doesn't matter. As long as you try to make 101 bidirectional, using this exaggerated diagram, you are making The exact same mistake that the planners back then made. Let's say it's to Buangkok, right? Using this exaggerated diagram, you serve this area, but you make this area lose connectivity to 101. I did the walk myself. It was 3 minutes, a little bit more than 3 minutes during clear weather. So is it fair to these residents? They used to have rain shelter, but now that you made 101 bidirectional, you force them to walk under the rain. And obviously, in rainy days, it's gonna be definitely more than 3 minutes. The residents here used to have a doorstep service. Now you take it away from them. Obviously, they would fight back. And then I have a lot of delusional bus enthusiasts. They were saying like, "Oh, why not? Let's make 43M go through Buangkok Link to compensate them." Well, you are missing the point. Yes, 43M it serves Buangkok. Where does it come from? Serangoon Central, Yio Chu Kang Road, Buangkok Green. That's it. The people that use these bus stops, they come from 101. They didn't come from Buangkok. Let us zoom out. See, the thing is, the authorities, they finally understood why the residents didn't want 101 to become bidirectional. But some bus enthusiasts, they are really, really stuck up and stubborn. They want 101 to become bidirectional at all costs. And I don't know why. Take note of the axis. I'm going to draw 101's route. Kovan. This entire chunk of route that I just traced over in black, it's 101's present day route, right? These places are the places that people want to go if they take 101. Not here. If you wanted to make 101 bidirectional, you need to do this. You need your normal 101, and then you need a 101M. Why do you need a 101M? It's to compensate all the sectors that I've traced out in black. It's the same thing if you extend 101 to Sengkang West Depot. You need 101. And you need 101M. Maybe at lower frequencies. There is a legitimate reason why 972 eventually gained a modified variant. In the context of 101/M, it just doesn't make sense to come up with a modified variant just for these two bus stops. Making 101 loop in this fashion using my exaggerated diagram is still the most efficient. It is a fast turnaround. It's a loop service, but it has a fast turnaround. The exact same goes for 116. It calls the opposite side of next and not the side of next that is often congested. Anti-clockwise loop. Left turn, and one right turn. This is called a fast turnaround. In another context, this is also called a fast turnaround for service 240. I've talked about the reasons why 240 and 246 cannot become a GW service, a green and white plate service. The reason why 240 and 246 are split in this fashion is because it is to control the frequencies. 246 that passes by here doesn't necessarily need high frequencies throughout the day. But 240 that serves residential, like Boonlay Place, Boonlay Drive, stuff like that, it needs higher frequencies. So this is why these two routes are split. And also 246, I know the route changed over time because I actually read the old bus guides. But essentially, 246 allows people to hub spoke from the trunk services or even 502 outside to let them go inside over here. I mean, nowadays 258M, it brings people outside, right? But this one's not that important. The more important one is to bring them from outside inside. So it's more convenient for residents along this area or even this area. So basically this means Buangkok Link and Crescent doesn't really favor like crew services. It actually favors services looping and calling both sides, like basically this side and this side. Because again, using this exaggerated diagram, 101 does the anti-clockwise loop. 329, the Haokang feeder, does the clockwise loop. And using the same diagram, effectively 114 does this. Again, not the most accurate because I said the word effectively, but in reality, it's more of like this and this. But you get the point. All of these bus services, I mean, that ply this area, regardless of whether they're a trunk or they're a feeder, they are all known as first mile, last mile. Because even 104, it goes straight, right? But they found it that the most efficient way to do this kind of like first mile, last mile thingy is that they have 114 basically doing this, and then they have 101 and 329 kind of like doing this. So it's like you have the horizontal one, and then you kind of have like the vertical one. Instead of having like a true service like this, or a true service like this, or like this, or like this, I don't know. You get the point. It's way more efficient to do this and this as opposed to like doing this or doing this and having to compensate this side as well. This is why any Singapore bus YouTuber, when they try to talk about routes in general, doesn't necessarily have to be amendments. I feel that like 99% of the time they're all talking rubbish. Because those people said 114 it's gonna extend to Yio Chu Kang in this fashion. Basically completely sandbagging Buangkok Link. This area completely. And they also said, oh, 114 is gonna be like this. Which doesn't even make any sense to begin with, because from here to here, I mean basically like this. From here to here, you already have service 50. So why do you need 114 doing the exact same thing? And geographically speaking, you realize how stupid this is, right? Like, why would you want to double call this area? And some people, I don't know how, they even managed to guess that, oh, 114 doesn't even have this entire sector anymore. I was like, are you okay? But I know why they even think like this. They just want 101 at all costs to be bidirectional. I don't know why, they're just so damn stubborn. When I received intel about 114 before the official announcement, like I usually do, I already knew it was gonna use Ang Mo Kio Avenue 6 and the Yio Chu Kang Road. Like this. My mistake was that I thought it would just go like this. And I genuinely didn't know about this sector. But when I look at it, it kind of makes sense, right? Because 86, it goes along Jalan Kayu, it actually doesn't serve inside Sengkang West. They were like, okay, I'm going to use this bus service to boost 86 and also to, in short, connect this area to this area. And obviously this area to Bangkok as well. And also give them kind of an alternative to service 102 to Bangkok. I mean, I know 102's purpose and this service's purpose, it's different, but it's just, an alternative to Bangkok, that's all. Nothing deep about it. I honestly kind of wish 114 actually went inside here because Service 70 is a piece of shit. So again, even if you have no intel, there's already 104 doing this. And there's already Service 50 that does this. So why do you need 114 to do this? I just don't get it. And this is exactly what I mean by bus fans. They only know how to parrot and report stuff that's already being reported. Or they just make the stupidest guesses on earth that don't make any sense. That don't make any sense. Unrelated to this video, but there are some bus fans that are just beyond stubborn. I told people that 80 pretty much acts like NR6 because right now there is no NR6. And 80's last bus departs Harbourfront like very, very, very late. So this idiot tried to reroute 80 to Bangkok, which completely defeats the purpose of having service 80 in the first place. So essentially, if you have been taking service 80 and alighting at Sengkang and walking home from Sengkang interchange late at night when there's no more feeder bus service, it's just service 80, and some bus enthusiast decides to amend it to like Bangkok, now you have to walk from like this bus stop or this bus stop to these areas. Doesn't even make sense. And they give like the most pitiful excuses that like, oh, there's 86. Pitiful excuses, I mean. Without knowing Service 86 history in the first place. Look, 86 along Compassvale Drive was an afterthought. Originally, as 866, it went like this. This was just an afterthought, okay? Service 80, as 864, has always called Compassvale Drive from the beginning of time and has always served Sengkang from the beginning of time. So why this idiot wants to amend 80 to Bangkok, citing duplication with this and this and this, I have no clue. 80 goes inside Sengkang. 89 travels along Compassvale Road, which is outside. 87 is completely different. 87 serves Sengkang East Avenue and Compassvale Road, which is a completely different catchment to Service 80. And Service 86 in itself, it's prone to irregular frequencies. So if you're traveling from Sengkang interchange, like let's say you're coming from the MRT and you want to reach Compassvale Drive right nowadays, they take away Service 80 from you, leaving only 86. That's stupid, right? Is it fair that you're traveling only a short distance and this idiot bus enthusiast just cuts off one service from you? This acts like a feeder. This acts like a feeder. This area needs like somewhat high frequency because it's so close. So why would you take it away? And without Service 80 at Sengkang Interchange, now these poor people have to like walk so much further. Like, let's not even talk about like these areas in general. Let's talk about Compassville North Gate and Compassville Gardens. Ideally, you alight at the interchange, you just cross the road and there, you're home. But this idiot decides to amend 80 to Buangkok, and they're like, okay, you're gonna drop off here or here, and I'm gonna make you walk a lot further. Congrats, man. You just screwed over so many people. 80 is there just in case, like, you're around this area, right? And you don't have enough time to catch the last southbound Northeast line. But you have Service 80 outside, like at this bus stop, at your convenience. This is why you have Service 80 as a backup for Northeast line. If I can come up with a video completely unscripted from start to end, and you guys can't even get the details right even when you script your videos, you guys really need to buck up.